Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today live from my lunch here. Crown Jewel, one hell of a show. I honestly had it on the calendar that I wanted to take this day off. When I found out that Crown Jewel, I honestly thought it was going to start at 4 a.m. I guess that was the pre-show. The actual show didn't start until 5 a.m. I was kind of scared to take the actual day off to watch the show, so I actually just came to work and just listened to it like a radio show. If you remember those WCW pay-per-views back in the day that were internet only, I think it was back before they even had internet video streams. You know, you were on AOL, and then basically, you just listened to the show. It was free pay-per-view. I remember like one was a Hogan Sting cage match, might have been from like Los Angeles. I think there was another one that was in Boston. These were big shows, and to listen to them on the radio, I honestly thought it was really, really cool. And the fact that they've never been released and you have to like remember them in your mind, pretty damn cool. I didn't think that they ever even did anything like that. But to listen to WWE Radio with Wade Barrett and Michael Cole, I thought that it honestly was a very, very good show. Two matches that I think have reason to be in the contender for match of the year. I would put Cody and Seth in like third place behind Cody and Cena at SummerSlam. But the Cena versus AJ match tonight is like my match of the year. I apologize. I haven't watched any TNA. I haven't watched any AEW. I haven't watched any New Japan. But for me, personally, I don't care what you think. That's my match of the year. That was awesome. I can't wait to get home and actually watch the match and pay more attention to it. But a really, really good show here from WWE at Crown Jewel. First match of the night, we had Bronson Reed actually pinning Roman Reigns. There was a little bit of like outside commotion, some hokey pokey going on. We had Braun Breaker show up. We knew that he was going to be there. He was answered by the Usos. It's kind of funny that every single time we see Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed go after Roman Reigns, it takes two guys in the Usos to come down and try and even the score 3-on-2. So really, who's going to be like one up here when we actually see, Roman and the Usos go up against, Seth with Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, now that his eyes are back on the Vision and leading the charge of him having a chance to actually lose his championship, and he needs his guys to be with him. We're going to see him more with Bronson and Braun more than we saw him with Becky, more than likely the last few months, as Becky's going to put her eyes more than likely on the War Games match that's going to be coming up. But Bronson pins him. Storyline is Roman is pissed at the Usos for coming down and helping. He thinks that he could have beat both guys by himself. It was a spear by Jey Uso that put Roman Reigns down for Bronson Reed to get the win. From there, we went to the Women's Championship match. Pretty good match. Stephanie Vaquer gets the win over Tiffany Stratton. They really put Tiffany over, basically saying that she was undefeated since winning the championship. She was a girl that just stepped into the wrestling ring for the first time 4 years ago, flying through NXT. Now here she is on the main roster, having huge success. Of course, it's the champion versus champions match, so she doesn't lose her belt. I don't really know where Tiffany goes from here. More than likely, she'll be in the War Games match, so you're not going to be seeing anybody like putting eyes on her championship, I would think. But they got to build something up. Stephanie Vaquer took two huge steps forward. You can tell that this girl really is the future of WWE. She is going to be up there with like Rhea Ripley as one of the badasses of the women's division. I love this chick. She is by far more than awesome. I just want to see more of her. I didn't see any of her NXT run other than that match that was in Madison Square Garden. I believe it was when she beat Julia, and was kind of surprised that she won that match. Third match of the night was the John.Cena match. We'll put the John.Cena hat on. Hustle, loyalty, respect. He gave it all to us. We saw the hits from him, paying homage to The Miz, paying homage to Randy Orton, paying homage to The Undertaker. Cena gets the win here. This was a great match. It honestly got me up out of my seat caring about it. I knew that I kind of said like it didn't have any stipulations. It didn't build anything on the Brock Lesnar loss that he took at WrestlePalooza. What was the point? Brock, his whole storyline was he wanted to be the guy to retire John Cena. He beat him. He put him down. Maybe this is just something for his story and his DVD that he took his licks. He didn't have it his best that day. He got up, he dusted himself off, and he had a match against AJ, and that was top-notch competition, and he was able to get the win there. But I need to see John Cena beat Brock Lesnar. God's honest truth. That's what I need. Rhea Ripley, huge ovation for being there in her home crowd. Not much in the match for me, though, honestly, but Io and Rhea got the win over the Kabuki Warriors. Not really a big surprise to anybody there. Main event of the night, Seth Rollins against Cody Rhodes. This was a great match, too. Like I said, it's probably my number 3 match of the year. I would put Cena and Cody from WrestleMania for my personal list up there because of what that meant to me to actually be there. Might not be the actual, real best wrestling match of the year, but this was fun. This was really, really fun. Storyline came down to the watch. Bam. No Braun Breaker, no Paul Heyman, no Bronson Reed, no Brock Lesnar, just Seth beating Cody. Reminded me of the Super Bowl with Steve Young and the 49ers, with him finally getting the win after beating the Chargers, after beating the Cowboys in the playoffs, and Steve yelling at the offensive lineman to get the monkey off of his back for actually winning it, and people always saying that he wasn't as good as Montana was. But this was a great morning of wrestling. Make sure you go over, check out Assault and Battery 777. The Redemption Tour continues. I know he put up a match video on AJ versus Cena with his reactions right after the match. Keeping any of my friends back on YouTube in the YWC here, best thing in the world. But this was a great morning of wrestling. I wish I would have been home and having the big breakfast of pancakes like Ravi was, but I was here slinging bacon, selling chuck roast, and 93% ground beef. Peace out, everybody. Hey, what is up? Early morning today. We're up here on Saturday, WWE Crown Jewel. We got the opening match of the night. We got Roman Reigns going up against Bronson Reed. This is a rematch coming back to you from the Clash in Paris show. I honestly was surprised that this was the kickoff yet once again. But I guess Roman's got a flight to catch or something like that. Part of me thought that this might even be the main event of the show. But a big time showing from Roman Reigns, who pretty much went on a Mortal Kombat, not taking any hits for the first 15 to 20 minutes of this match. But it all came down to what I thought it was going to come down to, is basically just Bronson Reed having Braun Breaker come down and get involved in the match, which then brought out both of the Usos to fight off Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker. And there just was too many men inside of the ring. And when it all came down to it, we had Jey Uso hitting a spear on Roman Reigns, and Bronson Reed got the 1, 2, 3. And there was no, tsunamis. There was no taking anybody out on a stretcher like there was a Clash in Paris. This was basically just a learning lesson for Roman Reigns and the Usos, because once the 3 was counted and they lost, Roman took it really hard. Roman is in a place, I think we're starting to figure out where this character is as of right now. He said to Jay that nobody thought I could do it on my own. Why were you guys out here? And just basically putting him out there. So I'm looking at the calendar, and we're kind of up on War Games next month, right after Thanksgiving. How does Roman Reigns think he's going to win War Games on his own? I mean, he's going to be fighting more than likely, Bronson Reed, Braun Breaker. He's going to be fighting against Seth Rollins. There's been a talk about, Brock Lesnar being in there. There's talk of Austin Theory joining this group. How do we go 5-on-1? You're going to need your brothers. You're going to need Jimmy. You're going to need Jay. More than likely, you're going to need somebody like Cody. You're going to need Punk. And we got to get this team. Team WWE, Team Bloodline, Team Roman Reigns, whatever you want to call it. We got to get this team together. And we got to get all on the same page. Because right now, I'm not sure what's going down. And Jay is taking this really hard. He's yelling at Jimmy. He's always going to be him. I think as of right now, I think that Jay would let Roman go off on his own to fight 5-on-1, to tell you the truth. I think this whole family thing, as of now, is out the window. It's not like when Jay left the Bloodline to go off on his own, being main event Jey Uso on Monday Night Raw. This is like, we done. Like, he's basically saying we ain't family no more. So we got a lot coming. This is good shit. Peace out, guys. Oh, part of me wonders if I saw the best match I've ever seen in my whole life. I honestly think that Cena versus AJ is definitely going to be match of the year. It's one of the favorite matches that I've seen. I honestly did not pay that much attention to the first part of the match as I was working. But this thing drew me in. And I'm telling you, Barrett, Michael Cole, they do awesome job as commentators that you don't need to be looking at your screen in order to be knowing what was going on. John.Cena, I don't know, the story that they were telling through commentary was that John didn't have it anymore. John ran out of gas, a few months before his, career was over. He was doing this last year, and he's just not able to beat Brock. He's not able to compete against a guy like AJ Styles, and he knows what he's doing. I mean, he's got the nostalgia tour going on. He hits the skull-crushing finale early on in the match, and then he throws his homage to Randy Orton with the RKO, and then tries to set up the punt. We finished the whole thing off with the Tombstone Pile Driver from The Undertaker. One hell of a dude, one hell of a match. I sat here and waited until the last final seconds of him going through the curtain, kept on waiting for Brock Lesnar. I let my opinions, I basically let everything out the other day, talking about how it doesn't make sense how Cena loses a match. I understand he lost to Cody Rhodes. That was a championship match. He lost the championship, but, to keep going as a singles competitor, as the John Cena hustle, loyalty, and respect machine that I know, he doesn't just go out and get his ass kicked by Brock Lesnar and then all of a sudden say, hey, I want to have a match against AJ Styles. He goes out and he gets that win back from Brock Lesnar. So, as it looks like maybe we're getting a bloodline fest for War Games, maybe we get Cena versus Brock at Survivor Series, and that's our payback match to sort of like wrap it up and put a bow on the career of John Cena. But, there's rumors out there that he's going to fight against Dirty Dom of Judgment Day for the Intercontinental Championship. And I don't know. I was kind of fine with that being a Monday Night Raw match. And then, especially if he was to win the Intercontinental Championship, and then have a match against Sheamus. Sheamus had a huge storyline of him wanting to be the Intercontinental Champion because it's a belt he had never held in WWE. They're sort of like hook or crook. Cena gets duped into something that is his next match. He loses the Intercontinental title to Sheamus. That puts over Sheamus. It puts over Cena's match. He doesn't need to retire with the Intercontinental Championship. I thought that was kind of cool, but it looks like that's just not going to happen. But Cena has to get that win back. Cena having a match, putting somebody else over on his retirement tour, doesn't make sense to me. I don't jive with that. Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you here today. What a match in the main event. Cody Rhodes versus Seth Rollins. Champion versus champion to crown the new Crown Jewel Universal WWE World Champion, whatever the hell that thing means. We're not going to put this belt on the line for another year. And then once we finally get there, it might not even be Seth Rollins defending his belt, even though it's kind of cool to see Cody back in this match after defeating Gunther last year. I don't know, maybe they'll come up with some like crazy way to make it a three-way if Seth isn't in the championship picture next year. It's just one brainstorm I'm thinking now. But this match wasn't as great as the AJ versus Cena match was earlier in the night. That one I can't wait to get home and honestly watch again with my eyes glued onto the screen. But this Cody and Seth match was nothing that I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be the Oracle Brock Lesnar not listening to Seth and bringing down Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker, even though Seth said he wanted to do this by himself. I feared that even though we didn't see him during the Cena match, we would see a return of Brock Lesnar, where he was the evening odds, and then kind of the story with the Vision might be, who really is the leader? Seth might be the champion, but the main guy might be the guy who's not even wrestling. Might be the guy that's like pulling the strings behind the scenes, and it might even be Paul Heyman, which would then set up. Roman Reigns still hasn't even got his come-ups from WrestleMania, where Paul turned on Roman Reigns, joined with CM Punk, supposed to be for the night, but then ended up being out there to hit Seth Rollins in the nuts. The whole storyline with Punk and Heyman might have been just to like pull him into a place of complacency of thinking that Heyman was actually with him, and then he had a chance to actually take him and steal him. But I don't even think Punk wanted Heyman for the full ride. He just wanted him for that night to put the cherry on top of the ice cream sundae as CM Punk main eventing his first WrestleMania. Paul Heyman being like the first guy that really believed in him. But this honestly was a really, really good match. And it all came down to the storyline with the watch. Although it doesn't make sense. We already know, documentary-wise, that Cody gave the watch to Rock and Roman. And the story of the watch was that Cody gave the watch to Seth as a thank you for him finally finishing the deal, for finally winning the championship at WrestleMania 40. Just kind of leaves out the fact of, if he was so happy that he finally won the championship, why did he give a watch to the two guys who made it so hard for him to win that championship? But I don't really know where we go from here. Last night on SmackDown, we had Jacob Fatu call out and sort of say that he would be waiting for Cody after Crown Jewel, win, lose, or draw, that he wanted a championship shot, and it's on. I know that Cody's not going to be coming to Sacramento, but I think we were all hoping that Jacob Fatu was going to be at Raw on the 20th and get that huge hometown ovation of coming here and just being like one of the most over guys there is in the company. But of course, as soon as Jacob told Cody that, he was attacked by Drew McIntyre. So I guess we're going back to Drew versus Jacob Fatu. But if Jacob Fatu beats Drew, it might open the window for him to get a championship picture. Probably going to be what the Saturday night's main event is going to be coming up in the early November, which would set up what the championship match might be for War Games if Cody's not involved in the War Games match itself. For Seth, I'm guessing that CM Punk is going to be waiting. I mean, Punk was there on Raw and he called him out. At the same time, Jey Uso wants a shot at that belt. Roman Reigns seems like he's hanging around a lot on Raw. Where does he open up the window for him to get a championship shot? LA Knight still is crying about the fact that he's the last guy to beat Seth Rollins. So do we have like a three-way to figure out who's going to be the number one contender to go after the championship? That kind of seems like it's the best thing that is there in my mind. But Crown Jewel, Seth beats Cody, used the watch. We knew it was going to happen. The whole storyline was about the watch. You know, Seth just staring at it week after week. The one thing that didn't make any sense to me, that I understand you want to do this Crown Jewel title belt ceremony, even though the Sheik's not there because of the fact that it wasn't in Saudi Arabia, but it is Saudi Arabian belts. Why, when Stephanie came down for the championship celebration at the end, why didn't Becky beat her up for stealing the spotlight from her hot husband? That was just kind of like the one thing that I was thinking of, but I guess they needed the picture. Seth kind of barked at her for a minute, so I guess you see the storyline that he didn't really want her to be there as well. He didn't want to share the moment. So that was the main event. What do you know? Seth Rollins wins. I called it. Peace out.